everybody, and welcome to the Malibu Pacific Church podcast. If you haven't listened to this past week's Sunday sermon yet, I would say pause this podcast and go listen to it now. But I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. We got Andy with us again today, everybody.
How you doing?
So good.
Good to be here. Yeah,
it's a great day. It's a beautiful day in Malibu.
It's gorgeous, actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to work remotely outside by the sand for some reason. I don't know.
Man, this past week though, ever since the after the fires, it's just been absolutely stunning.
The wind cleared everything out. Yeah. It's gorgeous. So nature has a way of cleaning itself out.
Oh,
you know what? God has put into nature a way of just cleanse for us too, I think. Yeah,
I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, the water's sparkling down here. So if you get a chance to come down to Malibu, or if you live in Malibu, go to the water today. It's a beautiful day.
It's beautiful.
All right. So, hey, we were at session 3 with Be Rich, and we were wrapping up the whole Be Rich campaign. Why is it only 3 weeks? I feel like we could go a solid 5. There's so much.
Question.
There's so much.
Joel always has the good questions. I don't know. Well, we could make it longer, obviously, but hopefully it's something we are doing year round. It's not just something we're doing for 3 weeks. So we actually put it into practice, but hopefully, hopefully what we're starting to put into practice actually continues on.
Gotcha. Yeah. I thought we just stopped after the series. Like this Sunday, we're not going to serve.
We still have an offering every week.
What?
That's the give part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can serve?
We can serve every week. So that's not changing. Oh, wait. I think we're supposed to love everybody.
Well, if we're not doing it in the sermon series, I don't think we should be doing it on a...
No, let's not love people
I get
recklessly, just like giving it out freely. That's crazy.
Yeah, we don't deserve that. No. Only if you preach it. That Sunday, we do it that day.
Yeah, and then you don't have to do it anymore. We're kidding, everybody. We're kidding. Yeah, a great question, but I think it's just, it's just a shot in the arm for the church. I think it's an extravaganza of generosity that the community hears what we're doing, what the church is about, and the church is for them. Malibu Pacific Church is for them. So it's just a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we want you to pick up the newest Malibu Times that's going to be coming out here in the next week, because I think, fingers crossed, we might be on the front.
Yay!
Which is very
cool. Hit the Malibu Times.
Huge paper.
It's huge.
Goes to tens of people. So
or 1,000. Maybe.
No, it definitely goes to over 1,000. But it is a big thing in our community. It's really fun. I know when I've made it, you've made it in there. We're kind of big deals here in Malibu. We're super humble.
Paper.
Most humble people we know as well. So we made it in the paper. But people will be like, "I saw you in the Malibu Times," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Oh, okay. Anyway, Will Ferrell.
Yes, exactly. But I want you to pick up that Malibu Times because it's
a great point, though.
Yeah.
We do want people to ask, or maybe the church should ask, do you know who we are and that we're here, a part of your lives and part of the community?
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that is the answer. We're getting this from Anchorman. It's this little scene where Will Ferrell goes up to this other anchor woman and says, "Do you know who I am?" And she's like, "No, I don't." And then he says, "Well, I don't know how to put this, but I'm a pretty big deal." And she's looking at
many leather-bound books.
Many leather-bound books. I'm very important. Well, that's a joke, and we make fun of that around here a little bit, but actually, you don't want people to know, I have no idea who you are.
Totally.
I think the church does. Actually, this could be a sermon series now, but the church is like, don't you know who we are? And the world is like, no, I have no idea who you are. I don't.
Ooh.
You're up on the hill doing your own little thing up there versus, no, I have no idea who you are. Well, we think, and our response is, well, we're church people. We're a pretty big deal. And the world is like, I don't even care.
I thought you were a dentist office.
Yeah, we don't even care.
Yeah.
So Be Rich is a shot in the arm that when they hear Malibu Pacific Church or any church, we're all on the same team, that people would say, "Oh, I know who you are, and thank you. And we're so glad you're in our community."
For sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, that's Be Rich.
We love it. And this past week was on love. We wrote not over 250. We said 250 on Sunday morning cards. We ended up writing over 300.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is pretty wild.
Okay.
So that number changed.
Nice.
Over 300 cards were written out to
Well, tell us to who, Joel?
civil servants here inside of Malibu. So all the teachers, the schools, the sheriffs, the fire department, and everybody who works in Malibu City Hall, they are going to get a card from Malibu Pacific Church saying thank you for being for Malibu. So again, I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for writing all those cards.
So many cards, and it was such a party out on the patio too. And I want to say thank you to the people who wrote the volunteer cards online as well. If you're listening to this, because it's really awesome. Online church, you guys we all rock together. It's the same body, just watching it, taking it in a little bit differently. But the patio vibes. It was so awesome. The hot cider, whipped cream, caramel sauce, and people were writing not just like one letter and trying to get out of there really fast. It felt like people were like, no, I got some time. Let's write some letters today. So it was really sweet.
Our way of saying thank you and loving our civil servants, teachers, and everybody. So thank you for doing that, everybody.
Yeah. And I'm getting more and more, which is awesome, from teachers and from people at Webster, because that's where I prominently like volunteer and things like that. Just saying thank you. Like, I love the phrase. I can't believe the church is doing that.
There you go.
The check, I think I shared this before, but I'll share it again. The check that we gave $5,000 to Webster and $5,000 to Malibu Elementary, it's in their main office window as everybody's walking up. They see that $5,000. Like, it's like on display.
Yeah, it's on display.
So cool. Like, and they're just so grateful.
So when you ask them, do you know who I am as far as the church, they would say, yes, you're Malibu Pacific Church. You're a generous church. You care about us. Thank
Absolutely.
You. Yeah. Woo. And they're displaying it.
They're displaying it. They're wearing it as a badge of honor, saying, we love this church. Church loves us. And it's just so good. I'm just so thankful that is happening. All right. So Love series, you're kind of bringing up the story of Jesus and going through the entire what that means, and
Gospels. I wish I had more time. I could have gone for 2 hours. Just keep going down the stories.
Just going to story to story to story.
Yeah.
And you had all those amazing real photos that were.
It's amazing how we've been able to capture that.
Yeah.
From AI, there was photography in the first century, so we've been able to uncover that.
The archaeological findings.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Indiana Jones all over again.
Absolutely, yeah. My favorite.
I went through different stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of just how Jesus radical love.
Yeah, with one of the photos after the second service, and I went and I confirmed it. There's one photo that why am I blanking on it right now? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the main story? Samaritan. Good Samaritan. Thank you.
Samaritan.
Good Samaritan. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was like, his prodigal son was stuck in my head. I'm like, no, that was Good
next.
Samaritan.
Yeah. There we go. There's no order. I just was going down stories. Yeah.
So Good Samaritan. The Samaritan who's laying on the ground had 3 legs.
That could be a problem too. I didn't know that.
I was like, uh-oh. So anyways.
There's a reason why they didn't want to touch him.
Mutant. So
that makes sense of the story.
There we go. So AI is not ready for prime time, but it's pretty great. Personally, I just think using that visual behind it, like I think we've said this before, it's the modern day felt board.
It is.
It really is. When you were going through each one of those stories, I felt like there was ones you would spend a little more time on, and I felt like the Zacchaeus one, you like really, really like trying to hammer in. Was there a reason to why Zacchaeus maybe stood out a little bit more during this Be Rich series?
Well, we make fun of him because he's short, and that's what is in the passage. He was a wee little man.
Yeah.
But actually, the literal translation, I'm getting this from Dr. Joel Green, who I took a few classes. He's the leading scholar of the book of Luke and Acts. So Joel Green, Dr. Joel Green, he was at Asbury. Then he ended up here at Fuller Theological Seminary. I think he's retired now. I'm not really sure. But again, when you pick up a commentary on Luke and the book of Luke and the book of Acts, you're probably going to pick up a commentary that Dr. Joel Green wrote.
Wow.
So I'm in a class, and he just really emphasized that. What he's doing, it wasn't just that story. And part of my emphasis is not just that story, but everything that Luke is doing is tearing apart the caste system or the Jesus is completely tearing down who's who. It's a status system.
Yeah.
So Jesus is always, every story, he said, is elevating somebody who is low status to high status or where they should be. So women, children, tax collectors, sinners, every story, Jesus is saying, I know that this is the status in your society, in the society here, but actually they are children of God. They have intrinsic value. They matter to God. They are equal. Each person is equal in the eyes of God.
Yes.
So that story, he just really emphasized in a class that I took many years ago at seminary, saying he's doing it again. When you start looking at the book of Luke through the lens of Jesus is tearing down status or elevating people.
Yeah.
In their status and their low status or in back of the line, let the children come unto me. That is they were in the back of the line. Let the women come, that back of the line. Let the servant, John, this is in John, but also washing of the feet. Jesus is elevating servant leadership. So anyway, just emphasizing on that story because it summarizes also everything Jesus was doing.
Yeah.
Because if you understand what Jesus is doing with Zacchaeus, and he's in the back of the line, the farthest he could get to see Jesus was up on a tree to overlook the crowd.
Yeah.
And he's the worst of the worst. He's a tax collector. He's a sinner. So he's not allowed to be close to Jesus. He couldn't see Jesus, so he climbed up a tree.
For sure.
Wee little man means low in status.
Ooh.
And so therefore, what does Jesus do? I'm going to go to your house and hang out with you and build a relationship with you. At that point, the disciples are like, we keep hanging around the wrong people. I mean, it's just like, what is happening? If my mom knew where we were hanging out, she would be so mad. Literally,
Totally.
Those teenage boys were thinking that. I mean, in a Jewish society, you grew up all the way up to age 10, memorized the Bible, the first 5 books of the Bible. I mean, they went to Jewish school. They knew Jewish culture. We are not allowed to hang out with Matthew and Zacchaeus.
For sure.
So I don't know what your question. I mean, forgot your question on this, but that's why I spent time on that.
Yeah.
But it's just showing that Jesus was constantly loving the down and out.
Nice.
It was that kind of a love. Ultimately, that's why they killed him.
Yeah.
You're not following the rules. I mean,
yeah,
right?
No, for reals. Yeah. You're breaking all the rules. Yeah.
It's true. My 2 favorite movies, Braveheart. There's another one coming out, I guess. I don't know, mixed reviews, but I love Braveheart, the first one. But he's a person of right standing, of righteousness. He was loyal to Caesar.
Oh, do you mean Gladiator?
Gladiator. Sorry,
okay,
Gladiator. I will
yeah.
get to Braveheart. Gladiator. Sorry.
Gladiator.
So, I mean, what did they do? I mean,
yeah,
he had the crowds. If you have the crowds, but also not
Joaquin Phoenix,
Phoenix, he's going to kill you. So, same thing with Braveheart. Yeah, I mean, he's fighting the system. He's fighting the man.
Yeah,
and they want to compromise.
totally.
And a person of justice doesn't compromise. Say, we're going to do what's right for the people. We're not going to let you keep raping and pillaging our land. No.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yes.
So Jesus is saying the society that we have here is not what God designed. You're using it for your benefit. No, this is not the way God designed it in Genesis 1 and 2. And Jesus was there at the beginning in the garden. It's plural language describing Godhead.
Yeah.
God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. So Jesus, as part of the Trinity, the Godhead, knows what could be and should be. And God sent his one and only Son, Philippians 2, into this world, and he became one of us, and he dwelt among us. The Word became flesh. I mean, God became a God in the bod. And so what everything Jesus did was it's really returning it back to a world of harmony, back to Genesis. This is the original intent of creation.
Awesome.
And you've messed this up. Sin has messed this up.
Gotcha.
And even religious people, religious people scare me more than non-religious people.
Yeah?
Oh, I love hanging out with a non-Christian. Maybe there's a reason why Jesus loved hanging around with it. They're like, this guy knows how to party. This guy knows how to have a good time.
Yeah.
We like him and he likes us.
Yeah.
Christians are all religious people. Oh my goodness. If you don't follow their rules that they made up, that's not even in the Bible.
For their game and
for their gain.
Yeah.
They'll kill you.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely. You got a big target on your back.
You do. And they did kill him.
Oh.
But the ultimate win there is not to be right. The ultimate win was that Jesus died on the cross to save us, to forgive us of our sins. He is the ultimate sacrifice. So there still may not be freedom from being conquered by Rome, but we have spiritual freedom. And in spite of our circumstances, there's still a God who has forgiven me, and I know where I'm going, and I'm not afraid, and I'm not afraid of death because of what Jesus did for me. So I don't need to live in fear.
Yep. And spoiler alert, Rome still fell. So
and it eventually fell 300 years later, 313 with Constantine.
Yep.
But Rome fell because of what we talked about, love.
Love.
The Christians loved their enemies.
Yep.
They stayed in Rome and died with their enemies, holding them and helping them.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's radical compassion.
Yep.
That brought Rome down. So imagine our church loving each other and loving people that way. But we as Americans, we've got it easy. I mean, in this Be Rich series, we're asking for a little sacrifice.
Yeah.
If you know what the Christians are going through in China, there's more persecution and there are more martyrs today ever in the history of the church. Yeah, there's more people sacrificing for being Christian.
Yeah.
And dying for their faith than ever before.
Wow.
So we in America, we do need to wake up and stop playing church.
Yeah.
We got it easy. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Hey, can you come for 30 minutes and be on the host, greeter team? Oh, I don't know. It's a huge sacrifice, Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's an underground church in China and they're worried about getting arrested and killed for being a believer. So,
yeah. We can give 30 minutes.
We can give 30 minutes. Yeah. We can give $39.95. But yeah, it's a little strong, but it's the reality.
It really is. And it's good to call out the reality too.
And Jesus is full of grace.
Yeah.
John 1, and full of truth.
Yeah.
So that's the key to understanding Jesus. It's not all grace and no truth. It's not all truth or justice and no grace. It's not 50-50. 50% justice, 50% grace. No, Jesus is 100% grace and 100% justice. The woman caught in adultery says, hey, where's your accuser? Jesus confronts the accusers and says, hey, whoever's without sin, go ahead and throw the first stone.
Yeah.
And they're all like, start dropping their stones. Woman caught in adultery. In first century law, she should be stoned for her sin.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody's without sin, go ahead and judge her. They all walk away, drop their stones. Jesus looks at her and says, where's your accuser? She said, I don't know. I don't see him. Well, you're forgiven. Now go and sin no more. Change your life. So all grace, all truth.
Yeah.
Not dismissing her sin. You're forgiven. Now change.
Now go change.
Yeah.
You know the right and wrong.
You know right and wrong.
Yeah.
And you've experienced grace. So all grace, all truth.
Awesome.
All in one sentence. And that's Jesus. So, yeah, I think we as a church, let's stand up for the things that are important.
I like that. I like that.
And that's love.
That is love.
I don't know how. Yeah. The local church, it seems like in America, has gotten really caught up. This is just a big generalization. I can make it because I'm a pastor and I have friends who are pastors. And the politics and the bureaucracy and the running of the church, and forgetting that church is a movement and it's about people and it's about going into the world. Go into all the world and make disciples.
Yeah.
I don't understand the idolatry of buildings and bureaucracy. And I'm an old Methodist, don't understand denominationalism anymore. It was a system that was needed in the 1800s with, let's say, John Wesley, also with Presbyterians and others, and Baptists moving west. I get it. You're trying to create some structure because you have more churches than pastors.
Yeah.
So you create an itinerant system where the pastor is riding around on a horse and with lay leadership, like helping them.
Yeah.
Well, we have Zoom now. We got cars. We have a phone. So what denominationalism was solving a problem. That problem doesn't exist anymore. So it's solving a problem, and we're keeping some remnants of. It created an idolatry of a denominationalism that it has to be done this way. And I find that most of it is not even biblical. It's just some rules that you made up, which is, it worked. It was needed.
They needed it in 1973.
Yeah. 1973, 1873 even. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the big break. I think the 60s was a big break. Well, right here in LA area, I understand it more after you watch Jesus Revolution.
Yep, Jesus Movement.
It makes a little bit more sense. I didn't realize it. I thought Bill Hybels was really the first break at Willow Creek, starting a church with 20-somethings in a movie theater and creating a church for unchurched people. That was Bill. But then Jesus Revolution, actually, what was happening in California was really the pinnacle, was the spark to break away from the denominationalism. Great scene in that movie is when they all come in, all the hippies come into the church and they're dirty, and he's just like, yeah, come on in. They're like, they're going to wreck the carpet. That's the classic line of churches, isn't it? They're going to ruin dirty the carpet.
Yeah.
It was a classic, just such a classic line. I think it was very intentional.
Yep.
That it's between the people worried about the carpet and people are worried about helping people find Jesus in their eternity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what Be Rich is. It's radical. It's extravagant. It's reckless love. It is reminding us to do it. Because if you want to know what somebody believes in, look at what they do. So do we actually as a church believe in what we're talking about? Are we actually going to go do it?
Go do it. Yep.
Yeah. So that's what Be Rich is. Let's, in a sense, don't tell anybody, just people listening on podcasts.
Yeah.
Is making sure we're not hypocrites. We're doing this.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I always feel like we're a church that can always get a new carpet. And that's what we need to be.
That's right. Carpet is cheap, but somebody's soul is eternal. It's priceless. Yeah.
That's a bumper sticker there.
It should be.
And also God in the bod. I haven't heard that before. So when you said that earlier.
Well, it is.
It's God in the bod.
God in the bod. He was. Yeah.
No, I know. I just
I don't know how else to say it.
No, I like it. Oh man. Last question.
Yeah.
The feet washing video from the Super Bowl.
Any questions out there? Any controversy?
I didn't hear it. I went around and asked, like, oh, what'd you guys think of that video? And they're like, no, we think it's great. Yeah. And it was totally, I think it's in context as well. And it worked out. But what were your thoughts on showing that? I know the reason why I'm asking this question is that we had some really good conversation about it with some staff, and it was really awesome. And some people like the video, some people don't like the video, and every kind of in between. But I felt like Sunday it really spoke in context with your stories. But what are your thoughts on that and that kind of movement inside of like a Super Bowl kind of a deal?
Yeah, well, if you haven't seen the video, you gotta, maybe we can put a link somewhere.
Yeah, we put a link on the website.
Yeah. I've heard both sides, and I've heard the people who disagree with it. I just think it still makes a great point when I'm talking about Jesus washing the feet of his disciples and Judas, a betrayer, and they're all getting ready to betray him.
Yeah.
But what Jesus is doing, what does that look like for us today? And I just feel like, I don't know, what is that, 45 seconds?
Yeah, it's
a minute.
Maybe
video?
A minute, yeah.
It had all these different scenes of people, different enemies in a sense, people who are very different from each other, washing each other's feet.
Yes.
So I just think in 1 minute, let's say, we had an image of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples, and then this is what it looks like today. And in 1 minute, instead of me telling you to go do it, In 1 minute, visually, it shows this is what it looks like
Yes.
practically.
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to do it. Just in 1 minute, we can be visual and show, I'll go do that. This is what Jesus did. Now you also go.
Yeah.
Now the controversy, one of it is just one illustration of Jesus washing people's feet. Is just, it's not his entire ministry, and we make it the whole ministry.
Yeah.
The water represents forgiveness of sins. Still, okay. I don't know. I think there's a lot there, and we can all disagree, your interpretation. But at the end of the day, they will know that you're my disciples by how well we love one another, by following me, by replicating what I'm doing. So I want you to go now and do something. For me, it's been an incredible leadership lesson. Yeah, it's servant leaders. We serve people. Yeah. And we even wash the feet. We serve the people, which he's taken the lowest status. Yeah. And serving people. So that's people like Mother Teresa took it literally, and are washing the feet of the poor and the dying and served them by washing feet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's different theological issues there. And there's also some theological issues with some of the images of who people were serving each other. But you know what? I have to go with the video. I think we should be serving everybody. Every person matters. That's the point.
I'm with you. The only really pushback that I've heard from that video is that it's too divisive. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, well, because people like that wouldn't really serve each other. I'm like, yeah, but if we're going for heaven on earth,
that's the idea.
That's the idea,
an
right?
Image of what could be and should be.
What could and should be.
Yeah.
So, anywho, thanks for showing it. I think it's cool.
We wouldn't do that. Somebody would say,
yeah. They wouldn't do that. There's no way. I'm like, see,
I need to preach the sermon again. That's exactly what they said to Jesus. I can't believe somebody would do that. Yeah. And there's no way that the Son of God would be touching a leopard because he has sin, or there's no way that a Samaritan is the winner in the story who took care of, he's the good Samaritan who took care of the person who was probably dead or half dead. Because a Jew was not supposed to touch a dead body. So they weren't sure if he was dead or not, but we erred on the side of safety. And let me say this. They were using their theology not to do ministry. If your theology is keeping you from ministering to somebody who's hurting, you have bad theology.
Or you're part of a wrong denomination.
Or you're part of the wrong denomination. Or you're not a Christian. I'm just telling you what our Savior is saying for us to do. Yeah. So that person, I mean, whoever you are, I just want to challenge you that is Jesus's point. Yeah. Actually, Jesus would have hung out in every single one of those situations on that video. I think
so too. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, for God so loved the world, he came for every broken person, every human, and all of my brokenness. By the grace of God, I'm here, and he's forgiven me of my sin. And as he's done that for me, I now need to do that for others. Woe is me if I am judging somebody else and withholding any love at all, because Christ poured out his love on me. Who am I to say I can't love you? Ooh. I mean, be real careful here, because this is holy ground
statement
here.
Right there.
Yeah,
Who am
holy
I?
Ground. Who am I to say, no, I'm going to withhold from you the grace and the love that I've experienced from God? That is the way to stop God's blessing in your life, because you're plugging up the pipes. Yeah. God is looking for pipes to bless so that you can be a blessing to others. Yes. And the moment he wants a pipe, we're all pipes that his blessings are flowing through us into other people. Yeah. But the moment we say, I'm not going to bless anybody anymore, I'm not going to love, I'm not going to be generous, I'm not going to serve, I'm not going to give or whatever, God was like, okay, I'll shut you off. I'll stop you. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you have it. That's our Be Rich Series 2024. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or hand gestures from this series, please send them to me, Joel, at MalibuPacific.church. Love to answer any of those questions in a future podcast. With that said, thank you for tuning into the Malibu podcast. And we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button or that share button right now for somebody who needs to hear this. Also, share that the past sermon series. I think that this was an incredible sermon series.
Good. Yeah.
Really good stuff. And share that Be Rich movement. It's not just for these 3 weeks. Spoiler.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Keep going.
Give,
keep
serve,
giving,
love.
Keep
Give,
serving.
serve.
Keep loving.
Keep doing that. All right. So good stuff. And then this Sunday, we have our Thankful one-off series coming to you. We're already in Thanksgiving mode, which is wild.
I know.
Yeah. So
And then the week after is Christmas.
It's already Christmas. Come on. It's been Christmas for a month. Great stuff. And so, again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at 9:30 and 11 on site or online here at Malibu Pacific Church. See you Sunday, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.